The halftime exchange between Chicago Bears head coach Matt Eberflus and CBS sideline reporter Aditi Kinkhabwala wasn't just another routine TV segment. It turned into a mini viral moment that exposed the friction that can exist between coaches and the people whose job it is to ask the uncomfortable questions. The Bears were trailing the Las Vegas Raiders 14-9, offense sputtering, and Kinkhabwala did what halftime sideline reporters are paid to do. She asked a direct, slightly provocative question. "Do you need to change what you're doing?" she asked. Eberflus's clipped response, "I don't know, you think so?" followed by a loose chuckle and a terse, "We're going to be just fine," landed like a splash of cold water for anyone expecting a detailed, introspective answer. That reaction sparked an immediate conversation online. Was Eberflus being dismissive and rude, or was Kinkhabwala overstepping by asking a question that put a coach on the defensive in the middle of a game? The short answer is both perspectives have merit, depending on how you view the halftime interview format and what you think its purpose should be. Halftime sideline interviews sit at an awkward intersection of journalism, entertainment, and coaching strategy. Networks want sound bites and human drama to keep viewers engaged between quarters. Coaches want to manage information, control narratives, and keep players focused. Sideline reporters are often asked to bridge those two worlds, sometimes in 20-second windows with cameras rolling, producers counting down, and coaches juggling playbook adjustments, injuries, and a locker room full of emotions. The result is tension that can show on air. From the coach's vantage point, that question, "Do you need to change what you're doing?" is a loaded one. It implies admission of failure or a lack of conviction in the game plan, and posed publicly, it could be interpreted as undermining his leadership in front of players and fans. Coaches often prefer to handle that kind of critique internally. In high-pressure moments, the default instinct for many is to deflect. Eberflus's sardonic comeback reflects that. He's managing the mess, assuring the fan base that he's got the situation under control, and signaling to his team that they don't need to show panic. From the journalist side, though, the question felt fair and newsworthy. The Bears' offense had just produced 2 rushing yards at halftime, an obvious sign something wasn't working. Sideline reporters are expected to probe and ask the tough follow-ups viewers at home are thinking but aren't in a position to ask. The goal isn't to embarrass. It's to get honest answers, give context, and hold a public figure accountable in real time. Kinkhabwala asked a question that mattered and one worth airing. Public reaction after the segment was predictably divided. Some criticized Eberflus for what they saw as condescension and an attitude unbecoming of a leader, a missed opportunity to show accountability and calm in front of a national audience. Others defended him, saying interviews are not the place for mid-game over-analysis and that the sideline environment is chaotic and disrespectful at times. A few media commentators even suggested this was a thinly veiled attempt by a reporter to manufacture conflict where none needed to exist. What this moment highlights is a broader structural mismatch. Sideline reporters operate under commercial pressures. Networks need bite-sized drama between quarters because attention is fleeting and advertisers are paying big money for captive audiences. Coaches, meanwhile, are practitioners of a slow, methodical craft. They want to process, confer, and then deliver statements that serve the team's larger narrative. Put them together live, and the chance for friction is high. There are also cultural elements at play. Coaches are used to controlling the flow of information. They are trained communicators who understand the optics of every word. A question like Kinkhabwala's can feel like an ambush because it forces an immediate evaluation without the benefit of private conversation. Likewise, sideline reporters are increasingly staffed with ex-players, former coaches, or longtime beat writers who feel a duty to be blunt and hold people accountable. Both sides think they're doing their job. For networks and reporters, a few practical tweaks could reduce the frequency of these visible spats while preserving journalistic value. Timing matters. Clearer cues from producers about when to expect a substantive exchange could give coaches a few extra seconds to collect themselves, or allow the reporter to pivot to a slightly less loaded question. Setting clearer expectations with teams before the game about the types of questions that might be asked and why could also help. Transparency breeds trust. If coaches understand why the tough questions are part of the broadcast package, they're less likely to react defensively. For coaches, media training that includes strategies for diffusing tension on live TV can be invaluable. A simple pivot, acknowledging the issue, promising to address it, and deflecting operational specifics until after the game often works better than sarcasm, which plays poorly on camera. Even a brief, composed answer can deflate curiosity and avoid a viral back and forth. Finally, fans and media consumers should temper their outrage. A clipped halftime exchange rarely changes the arc of a season, but it does tell us something about the fragile choreography of televised sports. These moments are about emotion and optics as much as they are about substance. They reveal stress points in an ecosystem where coaches, reporters, producers, and players all have competing and legitimate priorities. Ultimately, the Eberflus-Kinkhabwala clip is less an indictment of either individual and more a reminder that live sports TV is messy, imperfect, and built for immediacy. Coaches will always bristle at probing questions thrown in the middle of a game. Reporters will always press for the answers fans want. The better approach is mutual respect and a shared understanding of each other's roles. Awkward exchanges will still happen, but they'll be fewer and less combustible when both sides play by a clearer set of unspoken rules. For now, the clip will be another viral soundbite in the endless loop of halftime highlights and social media hot takes. It stirs conversation, draws clicks, and keeps viewers engaged, which, for the networks, is the whole point. For coaches and sideline reporters, it's a prompt. Think about how these moments play out on a national stage and consider whether a little less defensiveness and a little more preparation could make the product better for everyone. Halftime interviews are usually filler, quick injury updates, or generic talk, but Sunday's sideline exchange between Chicago Bears coach Ben Johnson and CBS sideline reporter Aditi Kinkhabwala went viral for all the wrong reasons. Chicago trailed the Las Vegas Raiders 14-9 at the break, with just 2 rushing yards and 100 total yards to show for the first half. Kinkhabwala ran the standard set of questions, then finished with a blunt one that many coaches dread. Do you need to change what you're doing? Johnson's reply was flat and pointed. I don't know, you think so? A wry laugh from the reporter followed, and Johnson closed with, we're going to be just fine. The clipped back and forth, part incredulity, part defensiveness, immediately lit up social feeds. Clips looped on X, commentators debated the tone, and fans picked sides. Some defended Johnson, arguing the question was implicitly accusatory during a halftime report and that his curt response was understandable in the heat of the moment. Former NFL head coach Jon Gruden took that line, praising Johnson on air and saying it reflected restraint. For Ben Johnson not to take that microphone and slam it on the ground, it's a real credit to him, Gruden said. Others were far less forgiving. Critics called Johnson's demeanor dismissive and disrespectful, pointing out the power dynamic between coach and reporter, and saying the interaction came off as unnecessarily condescending. Viewers argued that even in pressure-packed situations, coaches owe reporters a